Hello, students, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be using Nearpod, and the link is on the Moodle page as well as the code to get in. All right, so it looks like everybody has joined us today. So we're going to pick up another document that you would need to apply for a job, and this one is a cover letter. And you're going to demonstrate how effective you would be as an employee in this cover letter. You're also going to persuade the employer by showing them your qualifications and hopefully get an interview with this cover letter. And then finally, you're going to create your own cover letter to upload to an electronic document, an electronic portfolio, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to jump right into the lesson, and we're going to look at what is a cover letter, which is a way to introduce yourself as well as show interest in the position that you're applying for. And you are also going to use a block style business letter. And I will show you how to do that at a later part of the lesson. All right, so this video talks about the perfect cover letter, and I want you to watch it so you'll learn what goes in each of the paragraphs.
Let's take a look at how a cover letter should be formatted. As you see in our template, the header should have your name, contact number, and email. You can keep it similar to the header on your resume, but omit your mailing address.
I'm going to pause it right there. This person is incorrect on that. You do need to include your mailing address on this cover letter. It needs to match your resume exactly. So that's the only incorrect item. The rest of it is correct.
You should then include the receiver's name, title, company name, and address. If you can't find the name of the hiring manager, don't include it. You can start the letter as Dear Hiring Manager, but always try to make an effort to find out the hiring manager in charge. You should try to keep your cover letter between half a page to 2/3 of a page long. Remember that most employers spend less than a minute going through your resume and cover letter. No one wants to read an in-depth, page-long cover letter. 3 paragraphs is a good length, and we'll go through what each paragraph should contain. We'll then show you an example of an excellent cover letter. Paragraph 1 should be an introduction to who you are and the position you're applying for. Include where or how you found the opening, the title, and job ID if there is one. You should also lead into the next paragraph by stating a brief summary of your qualifications or your interest in the position. The second paragraph should discuss your qualifications and achievements which show why you're a good fit for the position. Remember that you want to stand out from the hundreds of other candidates that are applying for the job. So don't just give a few examples of what you did in your last position. Show how you went above and beyond. Mention a few examples of quantifiable or measurable achievements in your career. Use compelling language and don't repeat the information in your resume. Try to bring your experience to life, and this will encourage the reader to look into your resume in more detail. In the third and last paragraph, close out by saying that you feel you're a good fit based upon your qualifications. Remember, you should include a call of action, which in this case would be inviting you to an interview. And the last thing you should do is thank them for taking the time out to consider you. Let's put this template into action. Here's an example of a great cover letter. Hi, Susan. I'm writing to express my interest in the accounting position you have open on your company website with the job ID 11220. I'm a certified public accountant and confident that my experience and skill set would be a great match for this position. I have a strong knowledge of accounting principles backed by experience I've gained in the last 12 years. In my previous position, I managed the accounting of a financial consulting firm with over $30 million in revenue. I not only met expectations, but exceeded them by increasing cash flow by $4 million. I helped achieve this by changing our account receivable policy and negotiating better contracts. There's more in depth on my experience and skills in my resume, which I would appreciate you looking over. I am certain that my experience and skill set would make me a great candidate for this position, as well as a great asset to your company. Please give me a call at the number above to schedule an interview at your convenience. I appreciate your consideration and look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely, John Smith.
All right, so you can see that they've got 3 paragraphs, and in this video, mentioned first one is the introduction. The second one is why should they hire you, like what are your skills, and the third one is the conclusion. All right, so the next video that we're going to look at is 10 steps to make a better cover letter. And it'll take just a second to load.
Hi, I'm Crystal Cotton, president of Crystal Clear Connections, where we help you connect, influence, create, and achieve your career goals. So today we're talking about 10 tips to writing a better cover letter. And why it's important that you have the best possible cover letter is that it is your opportunity to impress the employer with your skills, abilities, and to answer any questions that are not included in your resume. So if there are gaps or things that don't necessarily fit on the resume or things that you want the employer to know about you, you need to put that in your cover letter. Tip number 1 is to make sure you use a basic business format. And that means not using formats that are very informal or addressing the employer in a way that is more friendly than it is professional. Tip number 2 is to make sure you use a simple and easy to read font. And that means staying away from the script or some of the other fonts that are more fancy. You want to stick to a basic, easy to read font. Tip number 3 is to always use the name of the person that you're applying to the job for. So if you don't know the name of the person, you want to make sure that you have at least the job title. So if it's Human Resources Director, Director of Marketing. But there are ways that you can actually try to find out who the person is that's receiving your resume. Call the organization or go to their website. If you go to their website, you're going to look at their directory and try to find out the names of the person who heads a particular department. If you're calling there, speak to the receptionist or ask for human resources, and then just generally ask for the name of the person that heads that particular department. Often, that's all it takes to get that information. Tip number 4 is to always refer to the position that you're applying for in your cover letter. Sometimes when you're looking at job sites, you'll only see a reference number. If that's all you have, use the reference number. But it's important that when you're applying for a job, that the person looking at your resume knows clearly which job you're applying for. Employers often post online or through other venues and use several different job titles for the same job, which would then give them a particular idea of where the jobs come from, where your responses come from. So it's important that you make sure that you reference the job title that you're applying for, and then in your cover letter, make sure that you pinpoint where you saw the job ad. Tip number 5 is referrals. If you've received a referral to an employment opportunity from a friend or a current employee, you want to make sure that you use that person's name when you're addressing either the person you're speaking to on the phone about the job or in your cover letter. However, the caveat to this is to make sure that the person who's referred you is in good standing at the company. You certainly don't want to use the name of a reference that is not in good standing. Therefore, the employer may not look at you as heavily as they would someone who comes from a more credible source. Tip number 6, make sure that when you're responding to a job ad, that you list in your cover letter the skills and experience that the employer is looking for. You'll find catchphrases and keywords that are specifically written in the job description because that employer is looking for those skills and abilities. So when you draft your cover letter, you want to make sure that you highlight those skills and abilities that fit the employer's requirements. Number 7. In your cover letter, when you're highlighting your skills and abilities, also make sure that you highlight your accomplishments. Employers want to see not only what you're able to do, but what you have accomplished and what successes you have achieved for other employers. So make sure that you highlight your accomplishments, your skills, and your successes. Number 8, when closing out your cover letter, take the opportunity to tell the employer that you will follow up and give them a specific date that you will be calling or making additional contact with them. Tip number 9 is to follow up your cover letter with an email. This reminds the employer that you are still interested in the position and gives them the opportunity to take a second look at your cover letter and your resume.
Okay, so tip number 9 was to send an email. And then tip 10, that she suggested sending a postcard. Well, I'm going to combine both of those and tell you that if you send an email, that's okay, but you really should probably send a formal document such as a thank you letter. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go over how to format a cover letter. So I'm using Word, but you can use a Google Doc if you so choose. I like Microsoft Word better, but you can look at resumes and cover letters as a template, Google Docs, of course, has that as well. So I'm going to click on this and let's look through the choices. Now, this does have resumes and cover letters combined, so you have to be careful with what you're getting. Now, some of these are not a very good business format, so that's why I like to create my own. But if you chose to use one such as this, you would click on it and then click create, and you would just replace the information here with your own. I am going to do a blank document. That way I can format it and control how it looks. So in Word, now if you're in Google Docs, you don't have to do this, but I'm in Microsoft Word, so I'm clicking on the more details for the paragraph option. And I'm going to make sure that my before and after spacing are both set to 0 and my line spacing is set to single. And then before I get started, I'm going to change my font to Times New Roman 12 points. All right, now you probably should make a 2-inch top margin, but depending on how long your letter is, you may have to decrease that. So for this example, I'm going to leave my margins alone. All right, so first you're going to put your name and your address, and I'm putting fake information here. All right, make sure that you put your name, your address, city, state, and zip code. You can put your phone number on here, but again, this heading needs to match what you put on your resume, okay? So then you would put the date, and then after you do the date, you're going to hit enter 4 times. And then you're going to put the company name or the hiring manager's name. Then you're going to put their address, you know, whether it's P.O. Box or their physical address. And then you would put the city, followed by comma, and the state. And of course, the state is abbreviated with 2 letters like I've got here. And then their zip code. And you're going to hit enter 2 times. And then you would put dear Mr., or if they are a miss, last name, followed by a colon. You're going to hit enter 2 times, and then you're ready for paragraph 1. All right, and who wants to volunteer to tell me what paragraph 1 is? Okay. All right, yes, it is an introduction to yourself, saying that you're applying for this job. And then it also does need to tell what where you found the job and maybe possibly why you would want to work there. All right, and so now we're ready to do paragraph 2. And again, after paragraph 1, you're going to hit enter 2 times. So there is a blank line between each. Okay, who wants to volunteer to tell me what paragraph 2 is about? All right, go ahead. Okay, yes, paragraph 2 is about your qualifications. So you're trying to persuade the employer that you are the best candidate. So you're answering the question, why should they hire you? So you're going to tell your skills and make sure that it is in a paragraph format. All right, and finally, paragraph 3 is your conclusion. And so you need to thank the employer. And then you also need to make a reference to you would like an interview. And then after you do that, you're going to hit enter 2 times. And you're going to type the word sincerely, followed by a comma. And then you would put your name. And the reason why you put your name after the 4th enter is so you can sign it. Make sure that you are being persuasive in your words. Paragraph 1, it is okay if you just have 2 sentences. Same with paragraph 3. Excuse me. It is okay to have 2 sentences. Paragraph 2 should have more than that. Now, remember, the goal is to persuade the employer to want to look at your resume and to offer you an interview. And if you don't put enough information in there, then they may not call you. Okay, guys, so that's all the time that we have for today. So I would like you to work on your own cover letter and make sure that you follow the guidelines. And if you have any questions or problems, then you can, of course, reach out to me. and I will see you next class. Have a good day, guys.